All right, let's talk about the United Airlines face to face interview process. I am really excited to share with you some information that I've collected and also some advice. If you don't know, I'm Abbie Unger, the owner of Flight Attendant Career Connection, and I help aspiring flight attendants land their dream job faster and with less frustration. And I actually went to a United face to face, but this was a long time ago. It was in 2006. I was successful and did walk away with the CJO. Or as United now calls it, the CTO, Conditional Training Offer. But that was back before the Continental United merger. That was in Chicago. And I'm not going to talk about my experience. Well, I might a little bit, but I'm not talking about the way I was interviewed face to face. I'm talking about the recent 2023, the most recent process that United Airlines is using at their face to face specifically. So, over the last several weeks, I've had the opportunity to talk with a couple candidates who have been through the process, and they were generous and excited enough to share with me a little bit of their experience. Now, I'm not affiliated with United Airlines. I don't work for them. I haven't worked for them for a really long time. But so that being said, this isn't official from United. I don't have like a behind the scenes look, but like I said, I did speak with some candidates who shared their experience with me recently. So I feel like this is a pretty good estimation of what you can expect. So I'm going to go over all the different parts of the interview, and I'm going to also go over some of the interview questions that you need to prepare for. And then at the end, I'm going to leave you with two things that I think are really important to note about the overall observations of the face to face interview. So, United Airlines holds their face to face interviews in Houston at their headquarter training department interview area. So it is in Houston, and they do provide transportation to Houston. They'll fly you in if necessary, and they'll cover the cost of that. But all the other expenses that could be incurred will be your responsibility. A lot of times they do try to fly you in the day of and fly out the day of. But if that doesn't work for the schedule, then you would maybe need to spend the night the day before or spend the night the day of, and that hotel room would be your responsibility, as well as I have a weird hair sticking out, as well as food, things like that. But they do cover the cost of transportation, which is really cool, right? You get to fly. That's what we love, to fly. Okay, so let's talk about what you can expect once you arrive. You will walk in and you will check in with your ID. You will be greeted by the receptionist. Something to remember: as soon as you step foot onto the property, whether that's coming from the airport as soon as you kind of get onto the bus, or coming from the hotel once you get out of your shuttle or your Uber, your interview has begun. So you're going to check in with the person there checking you in, and she or he will send you to upstairs. And upstairs, there are tables, and you're already pre-assigned to different tables. The tables have names of the crew bases, so like Denver, San Francisco, and you'll be pre-assigned to your table. You can expect anywhere from 6 to 8 people to be at your table, so it's a smaller group at your table. So once you sit down, please take the time to introduce yourself to your table mates. If you haven't already, you also want to be doing that in the lobby when you're first checking in too, meeting your new compadres, your new coworkers for this event. Maybe not coworkers, I guess, on time, but the people that are going to be with you through this challenge. It will be important for you to start to build relationships for a couple reasons. One, you are being observed as to how quickly can you build rapport with strangers. They'll notice that. Number two, you will just feel more comfortable when you move on to your group activity, or when you're moving on to a different part of the interview. It will be nice to have someone that you're already friendly with. So start to introduce yourself. I love asking a question, something like, where did you fly in from? I think that that's a really easy question to answer. And we love to travel. So it kind of sparks that kind of thing. Either you've been there and you have something to say, or you haven't been there and you want to go there, or you want to learn something about it. So I find that that's a really great way to kind of build rapport quickly. Where did you fly in from? Also complimenting somebody. I love your blouse. I love your tie. That lipstick color looks great on you. Those are also nice ways to build rapport with someone, is by complimenting them. It can be a little bit of an icebreaker. So while you're sitting in the group, get to know your new teammates, at least for the day. Hopefully, maybe even for long term. In all of my interviews that I've been to that resulted in training, I met people who were in my training class. So that always is nice to sort of establish, just keeping that in mind. These people could really be your classmates too, not just teammates in the bigger sense, like they're going to be flight attendants with you, but they really could be they could be your classmates in training, maybe even your roommate in training. So start to build those relationships right away. You're at a table. Several of the people that I talked with had recently gone to face-to-face interviews with other airlines. And something that they told me about, that they both expressed, was how intimate this experience felt, and how it felt, in a good way, it felt more like family than the other bigger interviews they had been with other mainline carriers, which United is a big airline and they have a big interview. But just the way that they have it set up and the way that their culture is being cultivated in the interview process feels a lot more comfortable, feels a lot more friendly, not casual, but comfortable. Which is great. I love that. They both said that they felt like they had been successful, partly because United created an opportunity for them to feel so comfortable and to be so authentic to who they are as they interviewed. Okay, so that's the table. Everyone's sitting at a table. They will show a little video, and then the first real activity of the interview is a recruiter will come to your table and will ask you a question. And one of the slogans that of United is good leads the way. That's something that they're currently using in their marketing to encourage, to just show how they try to do the right thing all the time. Good leads the way. And so when the recruiter comes to sit at the table, he or she will have a discussion with the candidates that are sitting there. So again, 6 to 8 people. And we'll begin to have a discussion about what it means for good to lead the way. The recruiter will tell a little story about how they use good to lead the way in their life or their work. And then they're going to ask each one of you at the table to also share a story. So the question is worded, I mean, I have to be honest, a bit awkwardly, because it's like, how are you using good to lead the way in your life? Now, if you have done some research on United and you know that that's one of their slogans and you've read about what that means, then you can kind of know. But if someone just was like, how do you use good to lead the way in your life? It's kind of like, it's a little awkward of a question. So this is what you're really answering. Like, tell me about a time you went above and beyond. Tell me about a time you did the right thing. Tell me about a time you went out of your way to do the right thing to help someone. These kinds of questions, as you're preparing, are much easier prompts to get you to how good leads the way, or how you have allowed good to lead the way in your life. So be ready to tell. That is a kind of a star format question. Be ready with a story about a time that you went above and beyond, a time that you allowed good to lead the way, a time that you went out of your way to help someone, something like that. All right. So that's the question, and you'll get to listen to everyone's answer. I imagine it to be really inspiring, because everyone's got probably has a pretty cool story to tell. And what an uplifting thing to start with. Let's all share about how we're trying to make the world a better place. I think that's really cool. I love that. So that's the first part, is the table. After that, after every table has done that, next you will move on to a group activity. For this group activity, they take you to another room and you do 2 tables at a time. So now we're looking at 12 to 16 people. 12 to 16 people, and the two groups are working together to accomplish this goal. It's not a cart setup like we see with Delta and American. So not a cart to set up, not a beverage cart to set up, but instead you're going to be tasked with prioritizing tasks. So the goal is you'll be given about 12 different situations that are happening as you're boarding. In this scenario, you're boarding the flight, you're trying to get the flight out on time, you're trying to get the door closed, and you have 12 different situations happening. The task is to prioritize those different situations and scenarios based on priority. Prioritize them based on importance. That's a better sentence, right? So we have things like a medical emergency, a service dog that's in the exit row, water for a pill, I'm sure is one. If you've been a flight attendant, you get that before. Somebody has a question about a connection. There might be a crying baby. Somebody's overhead. Somebody's carry. I don't know them all. I'm just thinking these would be things that you deal with during boarding. Someone's carry-on's too big. Someone's separated from their family. Somebody has to use the lavatory. I don't know. But you're going to prioritize them. Maybe the captain's asking for something. Maybe there's a call bell going off. So you'll prioritize these 12 things in order. Now, group activity. Group activity advice has always been participate, don't dominate, and you'll do great. I got that from the recruiter who did my pre-screening United interview. What was that? How long ago was 2006? How long ago was that? I don't know. 17 years? Is that right? Oh my gosh. Holy cow, I'm old. Okay, so whenever that was, I remember she said, group activity, best advice, participate, don't dominate, and you'll do great. Same advice goes today in this group activity. You want to be participating, speak up, don't let anyone bulldoze over you, but you also don't want to be dominating the situation. If you have flight attendant experience, you have a little bit of a knowledge base to start from. If you haven't been a flight attendant, you can think about first safety, second customer service. All right. So that allows you to kind of quickly sort the issues into first bucket, second bucket kind of thing. And then use the people around you. If you don't have flight attendant experience and there are former or current flight attendants in your group, which more than likely there will be, think about what they're saying and kind of defer to their expertise as long as it sounds like it's within reason, right? Because they have a little bit of a foundation, and this is how teamwork works. I don't really know, but do you know? You know, great. Thank you for helping me sharing that. That's teamwork. They are observing you as you are working through these issues. They're going to be listening to how you decide what is important, what is not as important. They're going to be listening to the way that you come to the decision, as well as, are you talking over someone? Are you speaking louder? Are you not speaking at all? Have you been completely intimidated out of the project? Those are things that they're looking for. They're also going to look at how you carry yourself. How are you sitting? Are you having to adjust your clothes a lot? Those kinds of things are also being observed throughout the whole time as well. Do you look comfortable in your own skin? Do you look comfortable in your clothing? Things like that. Okay, so after the group activity, I'm going to check my notes so that I can make sure. Something I didn't say earlier that these people shared with me is that when they interviewed, which they're going to training, they're all going to training within the next 3 to 4 months. They all have different training dates. And they shared that in their interview, which they were all in different interviews too, but that they had been told San Francisco, Denver, and Newark right now are the bases that most new hires are getting to go to. So if you were kind of curious about that, looks like San Francisco, Denver, and Newark. Of course, anything can change. It always can change. You have to be willing to relocate or willing to be based in any of the bases. But I also think that it's helpful to kind of know like where you think you might be based. So San Francisco, Denver, Newark, one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast, one guy in the middle. So 3 different options there. Of course, you could be based at any of the bases. And as a reminder, if you didn't know this, you can put your transfer in to where you want to be based right away. And when there's a spot and when it's your turn, you can transfer to that base. So if you really want Chicago, you really want LA, Houston, Dulles, you can go ahead and put your transfer in for those bases. And with the amount of flight attendants being hired, which is, I wrote it down because they were told like 4,000 new flight attendants a year is their goal over the next couple years, because they've got new planes coming. They've got 100 new destinations that they're looking at. So, and of course, people are going to retire too. But new airplanes always means more flight attendants. So they're planning on hiring 4,000 flight attendants a year for the next couple years. And that means if you don't get your preferred base right away, there's a lot of people getting hired. So there's going to be a lot more spots in a lot more places. So if United is it for you, if you're feeling that, especially in the face-to-face, don't be freaked out if you're not based in your ideal base right away, because it's not going to take 25 years for you to get Houston. Well, hopefully. I don't believe it would take 25 years to get Houston. Okay, so that is the group. So now let's go to the next part. After that, this was their favorite part, I have to tell you. Everyone I talked to. So this was their favorite part. After that, you're back in your groups and you're taken into 2 different rooms. So one group goes to one room, the other group goes to the other room, and then you swap. So these rooms have things in them like the beverage cart that you can touch, safety equipment that you can touch and feel and interact with. There's a jump seat there. There's no jump seat test, but if you want to sit in the jump seat, you can. There's a recruiter in each room that can answer questions. So make sure that you do engage with them. Ask sensible questions. I was going to say smart questions, but I think sensible questions is a better idea. How many times does a plane catch on fire when you're holding the fire extinguisher? Probably is not a sensible question, but asking another question about something maybe is a sensible question. Just kind of keeping that in mind, because you're going to be so excited. You're going to be so excited. You're going to be so excited and so giddy. Oh, and they have uniforms to touch and feel. I remember the first time I tried my uniform on, it was United. I remember, every time has been amazing, but I remember I felt like I was in some some kind of movie or something. It was so cool. It was so cool. So seeing the uniforms really allows you to, I don't think you're trying them on, but touching and feeling them really allows you to picture, manifest, call forth, claim that desire, that position as a flight attendant. So it's really, really a cool experience, and you're going to be kind of giddy. You're going to be excited and a little bit giddy. So remaining sensible, if you're like me, and that can kind of lead to silliness, remember, remain professional and sensible. Okay, so there's also like a mock-up of the Polaris, which is their really, really fancy first class. Some catering supplies. There's amenities, the amenity kit, slippers, like things like that. So really cool. Especially if you haven't had the opportunity yet in your life to fly first class, these are going to be some things that are brand new to you that you've maybe only seen on TV, or maybe you didn't even know that they had. That certainly was the position I was in the first time. When I went through first class training, I saw a lot of things I didn't even know were on the airplanes and things. It's just really cool. So that was their favorite part, which you can tell that probably would be my favorite part too, because I'm just like going on and on about it. But remember, they are watching you. They are watching the way you sit. If you're squatting down to look at something, to look down in the bar cart, they're watching you. They're watching you squat. They're watching you stand. They're watching you walk. They're watching you interact. They're watching if you holler to your friend, hey, look at this. Yeah, they're just watching, and they're observing you the whole time to see. So keep your professional hat on. You can be excited, you can be engaged. They want that, but keep your professional hat on. Okay, so that's the rooms. All right, so after that, everyone goes back to the conference room. You watch a video. they give a little bit of information about the company, reserve, training, things like that. You get to the video is the video, informational video, but it's also hosted by the CEO of United. Very inspirational, talking about the growth that's coming, talking about becoming a greener airline, about fuel efficiency, just about like the way that United navigated when the pandemic happened and what they set their sights on and what they set their goals on, things like that. So if you have a way to take notes, take notes. If not, take a mental note, because there's going to be so much in that video about what is important to United. And you want United to know that what's important to them is important to you. So keep really staying aware and alert, and the things that pop out to you as really cool, really exciting, making a mental note of them at the least, because the next thing you're going to do is your face-to-face, is your one-on-one. The whole thing's a face-to-face, right? So this is the one-on-one. Everyone will be called back one at a time to have an interview with a recruiter. This is the last step. They don't seem to make cuts along the way. This is the final step. As far as what I've read and everyone that I've talked to, which most of the people I've talked to have actually gotten the job offer, so they haven't been sent. In fact, all the ones I've recently talked to are clients that have gotten the offer, so they weren't in the other situation, but it appears that everyone gets to go. They didn't notice anyone was missing or anything before they did their face-to-face. So the one-on-one is the last step before you get your CTO. Like I said, that's what they conditional training offer, CJO, conditional job offer. And the face-to-face one-on-one is with a recruiter. Here's some questions that came up a couple times from different people. Also, I looked on Glassdoor. You should look on Glassdoor for some, and I kind of picked what was overlapping. Here's some questions. Describe a time you had a difficult interaction with a customer. This is very broad. Difficult could be that they were difficult, or it could be that the problem was difficult, like you were having trouble solving it, or that someone else did something wrong and you're trying to fix it. So this one is a great question because it can go in so many different ways. Also, tell me about a time you had a difficult interaction with a coworker. Tell me about a time that you failed or you didn't reach your employer's expectation. Time you failed or you didn't reach your employer's expectation. This is really similar to tell me about a time you made a mistake. For this, don't forget that the real gold of the answer is going to be about like how you fix it. So if you fail, like I did this, I forgot that, I made this mistake, I didn't hit this goal, and then I had a meeting with my leadership, or I immediately switched it, or I asked a coworker who was successful for help, whatever it is, in your action step, because this is STAR format, after you talk about what has happened and what you had done, you're going to want to talk about how you fixed it and or how you prevented it from ever happening again. You started a checklist, you started earlier, you made sure you were taking care of yourself, like whatever it is that caused the issue. Okay. And then and then also that good leads the way question is the one at the beginning, but that's just the other one I had written on my notes, so don't forget that one. The face-to-face or the one-on-one also has a bit of a video aspect to it where they are showing you different situations and asking you to respond. So if you've done the video, the virtual job tryout with Delta, this sounds very similar in a lot of ways. So it's like this situation happened. How would you have responded? How would you have handled this situation? Also reading an announcement, be ready to read an announcement aloud. So if you have the Flight Attendant Career Connection interview workbook bundle, which I hope that you do, there are some announcements, like mock announcements in the back that you can practice reading aloud because you want to make sure that you're practicing reading aloud a little bit before you're getting ready to go into these interviews, especially if reading is something that feels challenging to you. Reading out loud, hearing yourself read. I wouldn't record myself reading or anything like that. It's not going to be about critiquing your reading or critiquing your reading voice. It's going to be more about just being comfortable enough to do it without having a shaky voice, or without, so I would just continue to do it to be more comfortable, but I wouldn't necessarily listen back on this kind of thing, because I think that it is, if you struggle with reading or it feels challenging to you, because I think that it can be way too easy to critique yourself, and nitpick yourself. So everybody has different voices, different reading styles, but practice reading out loud. Reading announcements is great. Reading anything is great out loud, so you can hear yourself before you go to the interview. That was a little bit of a side note. That wasn't in my notes to talk about. And then after that, you're offered the job. You get your job. You get your job offer. They invite you to training right there on the spot. They invite you to training. If you're not successful this time, then you will go back to the airport at this point, because the interview is over. They also do the reach. There's a reach test in the one-on-one, and they'll also talk about tattoos. Visible tattoos. So make sure you're really careful about that. United does allow some visible tattoos, but it's within certain criteria. So make sure that you're good with that before you go to your face-to-face, that you fall into that kind of compliance. But after that reach test, you take your shoes off, you get your job. You get the job offer. Now, after the job offer, your day's not done. When you're offered your job, you will then move on to paperwork, background checks, fingerprints, drug test, hearing test, vision test, so many tests, all the different things to qualify you. That is being done day of. It sounds like in all the situations that I've heard, it is being done day of. I know when I interviewed, I interviewed, which again was a long time ago, but I got my job offer but in the afternoon. And so they actually brought me back in to do that kind of stuff. But sounds like they've got it set up now where they're just sending everyone through that part right away, which is great. So drug test done day of. Drug test done day of. Drug test is done the day you get your CJO. The reason that I'm kind of reiterating this is because, as a reminder, marijuana use is still federally is not allowed at the federal level. It is still illegal federally, and you will have a federal Department of Transportation drug test. So if you live in a state that allows recreational marijuana use, or if you have a medicinal marijuana prescription, that is still not allowed for flight attendants. Okay. Now, if you have a prescription for a different kind of medication that's not so marijuana aside, so we're talking about like ADHD meds, anxiety meds, things like that. If you take Adderall, it could show up as an amphetamine on your drug test. But if it does, they will ask for your prescription, and then you'll be good, because that is allowed as long as it's prescribed and it's being used correctly. But there's no place at this moment right now, we're seeing lots of things change, for any kind of marijuana use. So that's something to keep in mind. If you are taking marijuana medically, if it's a medical marijuana prescription, go talk with your doctor, so that whatever that is currently treating or helping you with, that you can start to brainstorm with your doctor about getting something else, a different kind of help for those things that medicine is working for. So switching medicines, basically, because you will be taking a drug test the day you get your job offer. Okay. And it is a Department of Transportation drug test, which means it's like the government's testing it. So it can hang around for a bit. That's just something to keep in mind. And then that's it. You got the job offer. They'll give you a training date. They are giving training dates out 6-8 weeks. So it's not like a 2-week thing. You can, if you are given a training date and you need to postpone, you can very nicely ask for a later date. And I have seen that they have been pushing it out a week or two. They're not giving you like huge, like, oh yeah, just let us know when you're ready. Nothing like that. But they have pushed it out a week or two. And I also imagine that if you let them know you would like to go a little earlier, then as new spots open up, then maybe they can even bump you up a little bit earlier. So I hope that this was helpful. Let's see. My big 2 takeaways. There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of downtime where you're waiting to go here, you're waiting to go there, you're waiting for your one-on-one. Do not forget that you are being watched the whole time. Think about how you will feel sitting in your outfit for a long time. Like we're talking like 6 hours. Make sure you eat before you go. Even if you're nervous, drink a protein shake, eat a granola bar, something. Make sure you eat or drink something before you go. You'll have access to the restrooms, all of that throughout the day easily. Don't worry about that. But the day is 6 hours long. As soon as you get your job offer, your adrenaline's going to start to drop and you're going to start to feel hungry, thirsty, all the things. So make sure that you're setting yourself up for success at the beginning, keeping that brain fog away by eating. It is a long day. There is a lot of downtime. They are watching you the whole time. And then the other thing is, again, I just am so like, I just want to communicate how much these candidates said that United made them feel comfortable, made them feel like family, and made them feel like they were wanted. And they had had other experiences with other carriers recently. And although they were very excited and exciting experiences, United, they just had such good things to say. Okay, now, does that mean United is perfect for everybody? No. Does that mean you have to only that United is the best airline to fly for? No. But I just wanted to really share that because I felt like that was something that came across over and over again was how comfortable they felt and how much they felt like family. So I hope you find this helpful. I'm going to link to some resources below. This is, United is hiring 4,000 flight attendants. Lots of airlines are hiring flight attendants right now. If you haven't gotten your copy of the Flight Attendant Career Connection Interview Workbook Bundle, please take a moment to check it out. It will be the thing that helps you feel the most prepared no matter what is thrown at you, all different questions. And I'm really excited for you. I hope this helps. See you later. Good luck.